Austria Grand Prix winners. Jamham won 2 times here. He won in Season 4, he won in Season 5, and is looking to make that 3 in a row. Can Freeman win his third? Yeah, exactly. I believe it's his 3rd race win in a row. Well, we're about to find out. Ladies and gentlemen, the green flags have been waved. The moment is now. Here we go for the start of the Grand Prix. We're just waiting on the lights. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the Austrian Grand Prix. It's underway. Hopelicious gets a good getaway, and looks like Jamham is gonna try to challenge him going into turn 1. Hopelicious already covering the inside and getting the position, and down the inside, I believe that's Colt trying to get a place away from the Mercedes there. Just slowly getting out of turn 2. There they come. Looks like Hopelicious still leads ahead of Jamham, Colt, Zydrad. It looks like there's a battle here on the back as well. The Renault of Mitzi and Ham fighting for position. I think that's Nicky actually, as Zydrad makes his way up into 3rd ahead of Colt. So Hopelicious leads ahead of Jamham, Colt, Mitzi, Nicky, Ham, Merckx, Crispy, and VR42. Look at this, down the inside goes, I believe that's the Williams of I believe that's just Crispy trying to get a move on the inside of Merckx going into turn 5. He gets the move done, and wow, everything is happening.
Yes, absolutely. Kind of a clean getaway at the front between the top 2, but behind them there was, well, drivers like Zydrad and Ghost were properly battling at it, as Rando, after his disconnection, has dropped well down. I've sent him another invite, so hopefully he can get back as soon as possible. But the big movers really in the first lap, as we check the position changes, hopefully they're all reasonably accurate. No, they're not. I will cut that.
VR46 going backwards. Losing some positions there. Looks like there's a Mercedes trying to go around the outside of him going into turn 1, and that is Kevin GT doing so, and doing it in a very interesting fashion. Look at this. As you see, the timing tower is completely glitched, and that's not the graphics. That's just the Formula 1 game being the Formula 1 game as always. But Hopelicious getting a very good starting D. Lap 18 should be the ideal lap to start on a lap. Codemasters promised that we wouldn't be seeing the yellow flags in coming out of the first lap, but looks like, well, we're still seeing the blue flags, so nothing's changed.
Yeah, Hopelicious with a fantastic start, pulling away over 1 second already to Jam, as Zydrad is right on the tail of the Williams driver. As yes, now the positions have sorted themselves out, we can say big gainers. B-Dunk up 6 places, up to P14. Darnell's dropped 1. Him and Southern are actually tangled on the formation lap, and interestingly, they are brothers. Close in real life and close in the track as well, apparently. Maybe a little too close in the formation lap. So that's him have a Darnell start, and of course Rando, who's still not back in the session, all the way down in P20.
Sam, there's a team in action here. Here he comes, Nicky, getting overtaken by Ham Jam, and that was, well, I do wonder if that was orchestrated between the 2 Renaults, because
100%.
that was an easy move, and if that's the case, if he just let him through, which I don't know if that's the case. That's very interesting, because why would you let your teammate through in wet conditions when everyone is on the same strategy? Everyone starts on the same set of tires. So, wow, that's certainly an interesting one. So, why? I mean, I'm not implying that there were team orders there, but why on earth would there be?
Well, Nicky is kind of... he won't mind me saying this at all, but he has self-proclaimed himself as the number 2 driver at Renault. He himself, I know, like... he himself knows that Ham is their best bet for the Drivers' Championship, and Ham outright usually has better pace most weeks than Nicky. So it's just Nicky himself playing the team game a bit, and yeah, giving Ham the best chance to try and close up on the others ahead of him. But both of them still running very, very well in P6 and P7, so they are going to be picking up good points as a team. As Zydrad, he's absolutely rinsing his battery trying to get close enough to Jamham to make an overtake, but it's the wet, as we said. It would be very, very difficult to overtake, and it's certainly proving that way. DRS is really the only way you can overtake around this track. So, so very, very difficult for these drivers, and they're going to need mistakes or just pure strategy to make up places, as B-Dunk actually is already up another 2 into P12. So a driver who was certainly making a lot of moves initially.
Wow. So
Crispy's gone off.
Crispy, what's happening with him? Oh my goodness, no. What's happening here?
Spun as well.
I'm trying to go with...
Crispy lost it. VR also lost it at the same time. I don't know if they made contact, but they dropped all the way. They dropped all the way down to the back of the field.
Can you believe it? Oh dear, Crispy out into the back of the field. He's gonna come back into the pits and put on a new front wing. That's such a shame for the Alpha Tauri driver. That's good news for the other teams, because the Alphas are not having the best of Grand Prix. You see there, very weird camera angle as he comes into the pits, changes his front wing, and well, with Jamham putting on the fastest lap, surely that means that he's closing in on the man sitting in first. Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to this. Jamham is closing in only 1.3 seconds behind the Ferrari, as Crispy and VR26, 46 actually, can't really see his name because of the racing numbers, but anyways, Hopelicious still leads ahead of Jamham's Zydrad. For my surprise, is keeping up with the race leaders. So Zydrad is doing a very good job here in this Grand Prix ahead of Colt, who is sitting in 4th, the McLaren there with his teammates sitting in P9, that being Freeman. Look at this, Hopelicious just taking back what was rightfully his, the fastest lap of the race at 1:13. Couldn't catch that, but anyways.
13.5 it was, it's flashed up on the top of my screen. Good lap from Hopelicious, just kind of consolidating the gap, really, you have to feel, as Jamham is more under pressure from Zydrad than is attacking a Hopelicious at the moment. I did say Zydrad would be very, very quick in these conditions, and he's certainly giving it everything he can to try and pressure Jamham into a mistake at the moment. And sitting very, very comfortably here. You sense he has got a lot of pace, and the race will kind of come into his hands perhaps a bit later when strategy comes into play with undercuts and whatnot.
Wow, Rando comes back into the session. He's not going to be happy just looking at where his car is, sitting in P18, 5 seconds behind the car ahead of him. But we go on board now with Zydrad. Look at this. It looks like Hopelicious is just scrapping away there in the lead of the Grand Prix, looking to take victory and closing the gap between the leaders. Talking about the leaders, his championship rival Jamham is under pressure because there's a raging Zydrad coming for him. He's chasing him down through the second straight of the track as they power uphill, braking very late indeed here in these wet conditions, trying to get closer. He's very close indeed. Only 1/10 separate P2 and P3. Can he make the move? Well, this is all about your pace. It's all about how can you behave here in this track, because of course wets, no DRS, and that's basically how it goes. You have to be on your day. You have to show your pure pace if you want any chance of overtaking the car ahead of you.
Yes, absolutely. Zydrad, you see how close he got, and just do absolutely nothing about it. As there's a VSC, and that's because VR is spinning across the track and having an absolute nightmare with
look at him,
no front wing. Hopefully this doesn't give Hopelicious an illegal overtake on him. The game is wonderful like that and can do that if there is a VSC and you're lapping someone. So, but yes, I didn't think there'd be any safety cars, but there has been a virtual once, as VR has now retired in the pits. So, of course, does not close up the gaps, but does mean that these drivers can kind of recharge with their battery, which does help Zydrad as he was running very, very low on his battery, and kind of just save a bit of tyre temps and stuff, and then charge without the gaps changing at all. Although saying about the gaps changing, Hopelicious has had a much better restart than Jam. Gap now 2 seconds.
Indeed. Indeed, indeed. Look at this. Oh, and Southern and Paraquicks having a go at each other for P15. But looks like, look at this, 2.3 seconds of a lead. So that's fantastic by the Ferrari there of Hupalicious. And still, those two fighting there. There's a battle going on here at the back. So, oh, let's just not count those two out. Paraquicks and Darnell having a go at each other. Can Darnell get the position? Look at this. Down the inside. It's all about your pace. It's all about your abilities. Who's got more skills? Well, we're about to find out. Paraquicks in the wets is sitting at the moment in P16. You see the intervals between the drivers quite close. The grid is. We go on board now with Darnell as he powers through the final two right-handers. Now easy on the throttle. It is raining in today's race, and well, it looks like we're not going to be seeing too many overtakes without the DRS. Even though the cars are pretty matched in pace, you know, it's equal cars, so everyone is driving at least 98% of equality between those cars. Or do you think there's a car here that's question to you, Sam? Do you think there's a car here that's specifically quicker than the other drivers, a car that behaves better, or the cars are literally the same?
I think that's a difficult one. On pure speed, every single car in this game on the equal car setting is completely equal, but naturally it's going to be impossible for them to code everything so that the cars are equal and behave exactly the same. There's going to be different cars which feel slightly differently. Obviously, the engine sound of all the cars with different engines are going to be different, and so that's going to affect naturally, psychologically, the way you drive. But I don't really think that's too much of a thing. But it is certainly something to keep a little note of, that certain cars do behave slightly differently. Of course, the most notable one is probably the Williams, which has the rev counter and detail of what gear you're in and everything in the cockpit of the car rather than on the steering wheel. So steering wheel's a little half one, so it certainly affects the way you're driving, especially if you use a wheel in that car. As someone has requested, is there a track map? I don't know whether you can potentially get a track map up so you can kind of see the positions of the cars on track.
Ooh, I think I can. I can turn that on for a few laps for you, SLR Jester. I think that's your name. Yeah, there you go. Just to see the cars going through the last sector, and crispy. We got a feel for that, man. Sitting in P18 at the moment, not having the best of Grand Prix, and certainly having a race to forget. But lads, don't forget this is league racing, so unpredictability is certainly one factor here. There's gonna be it's one thing that's gonna be a big factor here in today's race, because of course those drivers, even though it doesn't matter how quick you are, you're not professional. As you see here, this iDrap, man sitting P3, locking up going into turn 3. But they're not exactly professionals, so there is a chance that one of them are gonna make mistakes. So check this out. Asks, is it rain throughout? And anybody knows? Well, I'm asking myself the same question.
That's what Freeman told me. That's what Freeman told me. He told me that he would expect it to be into conditions all the way through. So we're not really expecting any massive changes from the standard strategy of just it's two sets of intermediates. One set cannot make the entire race. So it's just pit in and around lap 18, and that's that in terms of strategy. As I'm kind of intrigued to see where the leaders would come out, how the field spread is. It looks like if anyone is to spring an undercut, no matter what happens, the way that the leaders are putting a gap on the guys in the lower reaches of the bottom 5, bottom 6, that they just come out in traffic no matter what they do. So it's going to be a real headache if anyone wants to pull the undercut or overcut, and makes the strategy element of this race very interesting.
Time penalty for Paraquicks, 3-second time penalty, 32 viewers. Thank you everyone for coming in here in today's stream, and saying hello if you want to say anything in the stream chat. Don't be shy, and I'll be looking to answering a question. And just looking here at the gaps, looks like pretty big gaps between the drivers. The closest one I would say is, well, possibly Zydra on Jamham. So as we just see those cars powering through this track in wet conditions, of course. Like I said before, the unpredictability. Why is it unpredictable in wet? Well, I'd say, basically the grip. The grip. Those drivers don't have too much grip in the wet. So the drivers on the pad, if you don't know what pad is, that's a controller. The drivers using the controller are usually going to be quicker in those conditions and just exploit the advantage that they have, and that is that they have vibrations on their fingers, the triggers. Oh, look at this. Midzy's out of the session. At least, well, not out of the race, but certainly out of the session. The man sitting in P5 disconnects as Darno gets a time penalty, and Hamjam is definitely gonna capitalize on that. He's gonna try to go around the outside of the AlphaTauri there of Midzy, who's not being controlled by a real person. So wow. Crispy in P18, Midzy in P6, and disconnected from the session. For AlphaTauri, the team there are dominated the constructors. Can he get any worse?
Oh yeah, that is absolutely heartbreaking for Midzy. He's running very, very well in P5, but he's just going to be tumbling down the order just every single second that he's not in the session. And I've sent him a few invites. I've sent him as many as I possibly can to get him back in as quickly as possible, as Crispy has also gone off yet again in his AlphaTauri. So just going from bad to worse to, quite frankly, horrible for that team. As Nicky is going to be getting past Midzy, I'm sure, shortly. And yeah, absolutely. Absolutely gutting for Midzy, gutting for Crispy. They've the Constructors' Championship leaders in this division, and Crispy picks up a penalty,
no.
so that is just another kick in the
sake.
teeth for both of them, as we're hearing that Midzy's Xbox won't allow him to rejoin, so he's probably going to have to even boot that up again and try again yet again, as, yeah, tumbling down so many positions.
Oh, can they catch a break? Wow. As he gets another he's spitting in the pit lane. Crispy has had enough. And when he's spitting in the pit lane, that only means that, well, surely we're gonna see Crispy retiring from this session. Or is he? Because if he's not, then it's gonna be a miracle if he scores points here in today's Grand Prix. Of course, I never advise you to give up in league racing, because look at this, as the SB dunk goes a little bit wide coming out of the last corner. But league racing, of course, it's well, it's unpredictable. It's that safety car could come out at any point in the race. Lap 15 out of 36. And speaking of safety cars, speaking of pits, in 3 laps time, the pit window will be open, so we should be seeing some drivers coming into the pits and putting on a fresh new set of intermediates. So we should be seeing some pit stops there. And now the strategy here, look, the Zydrat is all over the back of he's coming close to Jamham. As we go on board now with the Mercedes driver, he's closing in on the Williams in P2. Wow, Jamham is not looking comfortable here in this race. It looks like he hasn't been taking care and looking after those tires here in today's Grand Prix. Is he gonna come in? Yes, he is. He is gonna try to come in very early indeed. I believe 3 laps before the optimal time to come into the pits. So Crispy, as he gets a 10-second time penalty, he just literally gave up. But Jamham is gonna come into the pits, going for a massive undercut.
As Race Roller's lost it. Race Roller has spun and has dropped a long way down. But yeah, Jamham with a very early pit stop. Maybe he's seen a little bit of clean air on the track, wants to absolutely guarantee that he protects himself from the undercut of potential undercut of Zydrad, and has come out in P13, 3 seconds behind the nearest car. So gonna absolutely be motoring along after that. So
now Midzy out of the points finally, and well, It's gutting to see. I'm feeling like I'm rewatching Russell getting a puncture in the Bahrain Grand Prix or the Shakir Grand Prix.
Oh, hang on. Freeman and Merckx are battling at it. So with, like, Freeman, someone who I know is running a wet setup today, is really giving it his all to try and make up as many places as he can. Is he going to maybe try and spring an undercut of his own and try and undercut Merckx and Nicky? He is. There we are. There's a little bit of strategy element. Can ABR Freeman in the McLaren car get himself up ahead of Nicky, up ahead of Merckx, and will this trigger really the rest of the field to try and make some pit stops?
Well, that's an interesting question indeed, because now I do believe it's quite early, but the undercut is massive here, and especially in the wets, because well, in wet conditions it's so hard to overtake, as you see the G-force that those drivers are having to go through here in these wet conditions. Of course, they're not going to be as hard as if you were if you was in the wets. So, well, Zydrad is gonna surely come into the pits in no time at all, trying to deny Jamham of his undercut, and we should be seeing him coming into the pits in a minute. He decided to stay out. Oh, that's up to him. But if you were Zydrad, do you stay out? Do you hope that Jamham is gonna get involved in some shenanigans there and possibly get some traffic, or do you try to pit and try to deny him the undercut?
Oh, I think it's a difficult one, because Jam was ahead of Zydrad, so as he does set the fastest lap of the race now, it's very, very hard to judge, especially like only having the mini map, as a lot of drivers do, whether the drivers you are battling have come out in clear or dirty air. That's what having kind of race engineers is good for in your race and stuff. So, but Jamham, he will now know he is in clean air and he is going quickly. So, yeah, kind of surprised he hasn't covered it, but I guess he's maybe hoping the only chance he can have of getting back past Jam is with an overcut with
and the leader pits.
Fresh tyres near the end of the race.
The leader is coming into the pits, Hupalicious. Let's see if Zydrad is gonna follow him. Yes, he will. You see the tire condition and now representative. Oh, look at the tire condition of Hupalicious. Well, he was really pushing in those laps. Now he's gonna pit for a brand new set of intermediates. Let's see where he's gonna come out. The top 5 pit. Let's see, Hupalicious still leads. Zydrad, is he gonna get jumped? Yes, he will. The Jamham, a crazy undercut, has worked. And well, I was thinking to myself, if it doesn't work, he's gonna look like an idiot. If he works, he's gonna look like a bloody genius. And he looks like it worked. This man is a genius. And he's up into second again.
The undercut has also worked for ABR Freeman. He's got a long way ahead of Nicky and has managed to undercut Merckx as well. And Merckx has actually been undercut by Kevin GT as well, so the undercut was the right call in terms of strategy, and Freeman's found himself in effective P6 now, I believe, as Darnell and Midzi are yet to stop.
Midzi's, of course, he's not in the race, ladies and gentlemen. He is out. He can't get back into his car, unfortunately for him. And he's not going to score points. And it looks like the AlphaTauri team are not going to score points here in the Austrian Grand Prix. But it's looking like a possible win for Hupalicious. But remember, the car behind him, Jamham, is so close to him. And 20 laps out of 36. Still 16 laps to go in today's Grand Prix. So, well, as we've seen in Formula 1 in real life, things can change in the final few laps of a Grand Prix, as Midzi, I believe, comes into the pits finally. And the only driver now who is yet to pit is Darnell. Darnell sitting in P6 at the moment, having a quite decent comeback, if you ask me. He is, of course, when he pits, is probably going to come back out of the points, but well, still managing to keep himself on track. And well, Zydrad, I'm looking at Zydrad's gap to Colt, and it looks like Colt is well, not close.
Oh, hang on, sorry to interrupt you. Merckx is trying to move on Kevin. He's going around his outside in turn 4. Can Merckx pull this one off? Oh, Kevin gives him a little bit of a squeeze on exit. This is kind of Albon versus Hamilton in the exact same cars as well. The Red Bull versus the Mercedes. Merckx again banging wheels a little bit with Kevin, but makes a fantastic move around the outside, proving you can overtake around this track and moving himself up into P9 as Kevin, maybe out of frustration, goes off the track a little bit after being overtaken and picks up a time penalty. So
wow,
there's kind of
indeed.
went from bad of being overtaken to worse of picking up a penalty for Kevin, and that's going to probably drop him out of the points, with the likes of B-Dunk, Smoke and Bezzers getting excited over that penalty for Kevin.
Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Zydrad is closing in on Jamham in the 21st lap of this Grand Prix. You know, this kind of the halo is it gonna show up? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. As you see here, him closing in the gap between himself and Jamham. Let me just turn this off. He's closing in lap 21. So if he manages to keep the space, of course, Jamham is on older tires. So if he manages to keep the space, we should be seeing him challenging Jamham in the latest stages of this Grand Prix. But well, at the moment, it's 3 seconds almost of a lead is Hupalicious actually leading the race by almost 3 seconds. So he's doing a fantastic job, not only in qualifying, but I would say in the race as well. The top 4 still the same. Look at this Freeman. Is that Darnell? That's Darnell coming into the pits and is looking to put on a brand new set of tires, and it looks like no safety cars here in the wets here in this wet race, which it is wet for the intermediates but not wet enough for full wets. 39 viewers, thanks everyone for tuning in.
Oh, Zydrad got within a 10th of Jam there. He's pressuring the Williams driver, who interestingly has the fuel indication sign, so underfueled his car and hasn't yet got it back in the positive region yet during this race. So that might be something to keep an eye out for. But Zydrad, I was thinking he might maybe try and move into turn 3, but thought better of it. He's biding his time here. You get the sense that he is the quickest of these two drivers, at least in these conditions, but can't yet manage to overtake Jam and Williams. As interestingly, the top 8 are all penalty free.
Wow.
Makes a change from Canada in particular a couple of weeks ago, where nearly everyone in the entire field got a penalty.
I mean, let's be honest. Let's be fair on the drivers. The last chicane in Canada, it's simply a nightmare if you ask me. It's so hard to go through that.
Agreed.
But Zydrad on the back of Jamham still, so certainly teasing us throughout the race. And can they stop teasing us and finally bring us some action? Zydrad trying to deny Jamham of a P2. Hupalicious would be happy if he could manage to do that, because that would certainly mean that he would close in the gap even more in the championship standings. And you might be asking, Matt, I wonder. Wait, is that Kevin?
B-Dunk and
Kevin. Oh, look at this. Battle between those two is approaching turn 4. And it looks like Kevin is gonna get P9. He runs off wide, coming out of the 4th corner. And into the 5th one, it looks like the Williams is gonna get the position. And he's certainly gonna be under pressure. There are two cars behind him. That being Kevin, Smoke, and Bez fighting for points here in this Grand Prix. You see how important points are, you know, and especially in the championship so tight like this. And I was talking about the championship. Let's keep on talking about that. You might be wondering, man, I see the drivers on track. I see the positions. How does that inflict on the championship? You might be asking me. Well, the answer is just take a look at the championship standings here. Standings. Boom. Here we go. There you go, the championship standings. Jamham is indeed leading the championship with 157 points out of Hupalicious, who's leading the race with 129. And as I keep an eye on the battle there between Zydrad and Jamham, but still, Midzi is in 3rd ahead of Freeman, Ham Jam. Crispy, Zydrad, Race Roller, Bazes, and B-Dunk. That's our top 10 for the championship. And AlphaTauri, like you said, Silly Bunny, not having the best of races.
Yeah, very much so. I wonder whether that is going to signify a change in the leaders of the Constructors' Championship in Elite. I wonder whether potentially Williams of Jam and B-Dunk may end up usurping them after this race. As the closest battle on track, actually, interestingly, at the moment, is the battle for P4 between Ghost and Ham, as Ghost Colt has kind of stayed a solid gap behind Jam and Zydrad since dropping off a little bit at the beginning of the race, but having a very, very racy Renault of Ham right behind him. ERS situation is very similar for both of them, but as Dana picks up another time penalty.
Wow.
But Ham certainly looking like the quicker of the drivers, putting the McLaren of Ghost Colt under a lot of pressure here. Let's look at the gap between Hoop and Jam now. It's now 4.5 seconds. That's been an absolutely commanding drive from Hoop so far. I do believe he has led every single lap of this race, and of course getting the pole position as well. And yeah, just even has a gap behind him that could mean that he can get a time penalty and it's still in the race. So
okay, so 25 laps done. That means that, ladies and gentlemen, 10 laps to go in today's Grand Prix. It's been a quiet Grand Prix, but certainly a very good one in terms of the excitement and the importance of it. Just looking at the chat, SLR Coden says, as engineers we need map please, and then he says after that, my bad, I just wasn't on my screen. Map is back. Indeed it is back. We're talking about your screen.
Oh, yellow flag in sector 2.
What's happened?
I think that's just Paraquix has spun. Oh, and has gone off the track. He's gone off the track kind of right in front of Ghost Colt, and Ghost Colt's had to avoid it and has lost the position to Ham. That is entirely because of Paraquix there, I have to feel. Paraquix went very, very abruptly back onto the track, and even though there is ghosting with lap cars, most definitely did distract Ghost and Ham Jam, the opportunist, last season's championship winner, managing to sneak his way through and into P4. So I'm sure Ghost won't be happy at that, as it looked like he was kind of keeping Ham at bay quite comfortably, but I highly doubt he'll be able to gain back the position, as it's so hard to overtake in these conditions. Although B-Dunk has managed to make a move on Merckx, get up the position changes and prepare to go wow for seeing B-Dunk's position changes. He's had an absolutely stellar drive and is up from last on the grid after invalidating all of his laps in Q1 to being currently sitting in P8 in these wet conditions. Wow. He's having a mega drive and is now even potentially going to try and challenge Nicky, as Rando has gone off again from P16.
Well, such a shame as Race Rollers retires from the session. And ladies and gentlemen, the safety car with 9 laps to go has been deployed. Now, if you thought this race was a little bit dull, oh lord, you're in for a treat. The safety car has been deployed here in today's Grand Prix. Now the question is, who's gonna come into the pits? Is anyone gonna come into the pits? And if someone does, is that gonna possibly change anything? Are they gonna go too quicker in the safety car restart? We don't know, but Hoopalicious still leads, and now what was a 6-second lead, as I can see on my screen, is gonna go down to well, that's a chance that Jamham needed. That's perfect for Jamham. And as they go past the pit lane, looks like no one is pitting at the moment. But what do you think that's gonna change in a race, Sam?
Well, I think the gaps between drivers are too close really for anyone to think about a pit stop, other than maybe someone like SLR Southerner, who won't lose any places. Oh, Rando has been disqualified. But yes, you don't really expect the guys right at the rear end of the field like Southerner and Darnell to, as they are doing, to be making a pit stop, and they have done so. And track position has been shown to be so key in these conditions that it's no surprise really seeing so many drivers in the pits.
Yes, indeed.
No, but so few drivers in the pits. Sorry, I should say.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this now really hinders Kevin as he's got his penalty. Nobody else has really, and is now. Well, the gap's going to be nothing between him and Southerner, Darnell, Midzi, for example. You'd expect.
Yeah, you see the safety car out on track. And does Matt have any pens? Says Baggy.
Matt is Southerner. He doesn't.
Oh, okay. When he said pens, I thought about the actual pen, not penalties. But yeah.
Yeah. He means Southerner.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Difficulties of the main commentator also being called Matt.
Oh yeah, that's a problem. Okay, so the safety car is out. You see how the drivers all bunched up there, very close to each other there.
Paraquix is trying to unlap himself here. I swear the game doesn't allow you to do that, but he's done it.
Oh really?
So hopefully he doesn't cause too much havoc here.
Yeah,
he's got a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. So, but he is trying to make a move on Kevin as well. This could potentially be a little dangerous.
Nothing to lose. Yeah, he doesn't have anything to lose here at this point. If he's
here he
a
goes.
lap down,
He's going to get past Kevin as well. I have a feeling he's going to be disqualified here, and it's only a matter of time, really. The game doesn't like you doing this, and as he gets through these next couple of guys as well. What an overtaking move from Paraquix down the inside of Merckx.
Down the inside he goes, going into turn 6, and what a move. No, B-Junk fights back. Nah, I'm not gonna carry on, let's just stop. He's certainly moving forward, and I wonder if the game is allowing him to do that, and that's quite dangerous if you ask me. I know he can possibly try to go for it and retake the position.
But he's gone into the pits.
He's coming to the pits, ignores yellow flags, he's probably going to retire. He comes into the pits, boom. What's he going to do? The safety car, I want to see if he, because of that, he retires from the session. That's it. So Quix is out of the session, unfortunately for him. And, well, I must say, the safety car restart is going to be definitely a good one because Hupalicious has his championship rival right behind him, right on his tail. So Ferrari versus Williams. I feel like I'm commentating the early 2000s with the battles between Montoya and Michael Schumacher. As Hupalicious, well, in that case, would be Michael Schumacher. And talking about Schumacher, the man who, well, the early 2020, he had the record for most wins that got beaten by Hamilton, and it looks like well, I completely forgot his name. Let me just... Yeah, here we go. Presto Evans. Presto Evans is the man... Oh, look at this. Before we even talk about this, the safety car is in this lap. So, ladies and gentlemen, as soon as Hupalicious crosses the line and starts on his 31st lap of the Grand Prix, everyone is going to be able to overtake and go back to racing and live their life. Wow.
I think the driver to look out for here is SLR Southerner. He has no penalties, and he is on fresh soft. No, he's on fresh intermediates.
Softs.
And is absolutely not on fresh softs. He's on fresh intermediates, 10 laps fresher than the likes of Benzes and Smoke ahead of him. And he said himself he didn't expect to get a point out of Elite this season, but could he maybe?
Here we go.
Could he maybe nick one here? Could he maybe make a couple of moves as Hupalicious is taking them away for the restart?
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, as he leads the cars down towards turn 1 as they head towards the first corner. Let's see if we're going to see any moves. There's already a tight penalty, and there's go. Both the McLarens trying to have a go at each other there in the 31st lap of the Grand Prix. They're pretty close to each other. Freeman is going to try to stick on the inside. He's going to try to get out of the optimal racing line. He's going to be aquaplaning if you go through there. He's going to go down the inside of his teammates as they go uphill, and looks like his teammate's going to deny him that move. Look at this. what's happening here at the back. Hopelicious got a fantastic restart, and are we gonna see a move? It looks like B-Dunk, he's on the back of Nicky, but not close enough to go for a move.
In the midst of all that, as you said, Bez is picking up a time penalty, which does potentially invite the likes of the drivers from the outside of the top 10 to maybe nick a point or so here. Smoke is on for his first points so far this season if he keeps up with Kevin, so I'm sure the Racing Point driver will be very, very happy with that if he manages to continue it. Very, very quick driver. Smoke, who's been terribly unlucky this season to avoid getting any points. He's be good for him if he gets one, and of course SLR Sullivan can actually go for a point. But what a fantastic restart from Hood, using his fresher tyres than Jam to great effect, as of course Jam went for that undercut, remember, and Hood managed to successfully stay ahead of him with 3-lap fresher tyres. So
Indeed, a time penalty for Darnell. So Darnell is getting loads of penalties in today's Grand Prix, not having the best of races, sitting in P14 at the moment. But the battle that we keep our eyes on is the battle between Cole and Freeman. It's teammate versus teammate, Carlos Sainz versus Norris, but this time in Summit League Racing. 33 viewers here today's stream. If you're liking the stream, don't forget to follow the stream channel, and hopefully we'll be back for the next round next week. But for now, let's stop talking about the next round and let's talk about this one, because it looks like Freeman is looking to make up some positions. He has the fastest lap. He knows that his championship rivals are too far ahead, and he doesn't want to be left behind without the big points. We go now on board with him, his teammate Coach, sitting in P5 at the moment, and well, we're back with the train of cars, and if there's no DRS, well, overtaking is almost impossible. And you see the tire condition there of Ham Jam. He's using the same tires that he was using previously, so 50% use, as you can see in the AWS tire performance. And unlike real life, those are actually true.
Oh, interesting. It does manage to sync up with all the drivers and tell us which drivers are close to punctures, which drivers aren't.
I mean, it depends though. It depends.
See some more of that.
Depends. Some drivers can turn their telemetry on and off. So sometimes when you go on board with the driver, and so it shows 100%, it's not actually a 100%. It's just the driver not allowing you to use it.
I see. But I think the closest battle at the moment is the battle between Nicky and B-Dunk. Nicky is losing the back end a couple of times in these conditions, is hanging on for what will only be his third ever Elite point scoring finish in P7, but B-Dunk is right on his tail and wants to demote Nicky from P7 to P8.
Indeed.
B-Dunk, the American, absolutely honing in, and well, a very, very strong contender for driver of the day, which is, I think, a question that we should maybe pose to our audience, and to get up the position changes. Who's a driver of the day contenders? I think I know a few that I would say are contenders. Hooperlicious, of course, from first to first, leading every single lap. Maybe even saving some ERS for the final lap to go for that Grand Slam, full 26 points. Of course, Freeman is a strong contender for driver of the day, up all the way from his Q2 exit to currently be sitting in P6, and then B-Dunk from P20 all the way to P8 as well as a strong contender. Who is your driver of the day, though?
Ooh, I have to give that to B-Dunk. Yeah, I know last week I said Freeman because he got pole and led the race. And well, if you follow that logic, that would mean that Hopelicious will be my driver of the day. I see a lot of people saying driver of the day in the stream chat, so yeah, that's the fans' logic. And I do think he's a strong contender for driver of the day. But let me just add another name there. I'm gonna say B-Dunk. He moved up a lot of positions there. You could see the position changes. He's having a fantastic Grand Prix, and not only moving up positions, he's moving up positions in a wet Grand Prix. In a wet Grand Prix, I gotta say, overtaking is, well, close to impossible. So for him to overtake that many cars, well, in my view, of course, driver of the day.
Yeah, fair enough. We will go with the fans' vote at the end of the day. But both of them, I do know they are friends, and both of them are very, very strong contenders at driver of the day, really showing the two aspects of racing, how to control it, how to control the race from the front and be consistent, perfect, flawless, and how to make some fantastic overtakes and showing what is really the epitome of a recovery drive, which is B-Dunk's drive. As Superlicious is starting the final lap here now. He's, as people have said, controlled it from start to finish as Darnell goes off in the middle sector.
Well, indeed.
And here Hoopalicious is to go for, I believe, maybe a fastest lap attempt?
Can he do that? Let's see. Let's see if he can do that. The final lap of the race, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Hoopalicious is looking very, very tight through here. He's looking like he's going to take that first place if he manages to continue like this and keep his car on track, of course. But in the final lap, those cars are going to throw everything they possibly can into the car ahead. Can he manage to make up a position? Well, if they couldn't do that throughout the race, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do that now. And, well, we're looking to see, but Hoopalicious is looking like a very strong contender for the race win. It looks like he's gonna take it. And, well, Jamham, his championship rival, nothing he can do about that. Let's see, he goes through the middle sector. And, at those later stages of the Grand Prix, well, this man here sitting in second in the championship, his teammate moving up to some positions there. But Hoopalicious is starting on pole. Starting on pole is, that alone is a very hard task indeed. To manage to maintain that lead throughout the race, that's an even harder task. And this man has done it all. As he comes round the final corner, he closes in the gap on the top as he sees the checkered flag from the United States. Hoopalicious is the Grand Prix winner. He takes victory here in Austria. Jamham is gonna come home in second place. Zydrad is gonna close in the podium positions in third. And right behind him is Hamjam ahead of Colt, Freeman, Nikki, B-Dunk, Merckx, and then closing in the points for the first time in his career, Smoke.
Well, it's not the first time in his career, but it is the first time this season that Smoke has done it, and that is I'm sure that is a big weight off his shoulders. Is Smoke getting that P10 spot? But yes, all the plaudits have to go to Hoop. Absolutely dominant drive from start to finish. Just 200ths of a second off the fastest lap and completing a Grand Slam as well. That is one of the most dominant drives I've seen in a while, really. Just never looked under threat and got a great victory. So if you want to run us through the finishing order.
Yes, indeed.
And I will get the podium finishers in the party.
Okay, I'm just looking here at the previous wins, and the Red Bull Ring looks like Jamham has won the last two seasons actually, but this season is gonna come short to second place. Hoopalicious, the Ferrari driver, wins the Grand Prix. Let me just turn this off as we go through the finishing order. Hoopalicious wins the race. And 3.2 seconds ahead of Jamham. Like I said before, closes in the gap at the top of the standings. Zydrad is in third, finishes third in the podium. Hamjam came home in fourth, ahead of both of the McLarens of Ghost Coat and ABR Freeman. Good effort by the McLaren driver from P12 to P6. In P7, SLR Nikki, B-Dunk in P8, Merckx in P9, and in P10, LP Smoke. You see the rest of the drivers here. Sauner, Kevin GT, Bazis, Darnell, Midzik, Paraquix, and Midzik, the only drivers who finished the Grand Prix, but, well, looks like Paraquix, Race Roller, Crispy VR46, and Rando couldn't see the checkered flag. And taking the fastest lap, of course, is ABR Freeman. And now, with 29 viewers here and here in the stream, I gotta tell you, Sam, now it's time for the podium interview. So if you would like to do that.
Do you want to do any of them yourself, or do you want to leave them all to me?
Well, I would like to. Okay, I'm gonna talk. Let's do it like this. I talk to the race winner, and then you talk to P2 and 3. So we have two interviews, and I get a 1.
Okay. Yeah. So starting off with our P3 driver, Zydrad. Finally, your run of poor form in this league is over, and you're back on the podium. First of all, are you happy with your result? And second of all, a well done on being back on the podium.
Cheers, first of all. Yeah, I mean, I was given fortunate circumstances in Q3. Um, Sacrificed like 4 tenths in the third sector just to settle up and managed to get me P3, and I was quite happy with that. Comes to the race, I mean, I do enjoy the wet weather, but Austria in the dry is difficult to overtake, let alone the wet. And I felt quicker than Jam, but it wasn't enough. Like I wasn't, I think probably a tenth maybe. So it wasn't really enough for me to have enough of a run on him to try and overtake. But yeah, I'm happy to get him back onto the podium for the time being at least. Still waiting for myself to rise up in the championship standings, but GG to the other two geezers who didn't put a foot wrong.
Yep, great drive from yourself, of course. Yep. We
Cheers.
saw with most drivers, it's very difficult to overtake here. So, really, P3 is a brilliant result from yourself. As
Yep, cheers.
Jamham, Jamham, the P2 driver, you of course, this ends your 100% streak of wins in Austria. But from the way it looked at it, it looked like you drove a fantastic race and came home in P2. Are you happy with it? Do you feel like there was any shot of a win whatsoever, or are you just happy to get yet another podium and yet another top 5 finish?
No, I'm really happy with that. I think I definitely maximised the result in P2, to be honest. Like as I said, I think he was definitely a bit quicker than me, and I don't think I was probably quick enough for a podium. But yeah, you just can't overtake in the wet. So yeah, I'm more than happy to end at second. I mean, Hoop didn't even put a foot wrong, and his pace was amazing. Couldn't get anywhere near him. So yeah, I mean, more points for the championship. Lost out a bit to Hoop, but I think the consistency is gonna push me along a bit more, and yeah, just another podium. So yeah, really happy with that.
And of course, well, for Zai and yourself, moving on to your home Grand Prix next, is that maybe going to give you a little bit more motivation than Hoop for the British race, and are you maybe targeting to go one step better win your home Grand Prix?
Well, to be honest, I don't think I've ever won a league race around Silverstone, if I can remember. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like my pace is good around there on this game compared to others, but obviously with likes of Hoop being in esports and being quick around there, I think it's going to be a challenge. But no, I'll give it my best shot like I always do, and yeah, just see what happens.
Yep, and congratulations on the P2 once again. And on
Thank
to
you.
Matt, who will take the interview for Hoopalicious, back on the top step of the podium once again.
Indeed. Now I talk to Hoop, who I believe is in the party. And Hoopalicious, I gotta ask you, how did you do that pole position in such a crucial race for you in a championship? You got pole position ahead of those drivers in a tight grid, and then you got not only pole, but also you control the race in the wets. And I don't remember any point in the race of you not leading the Grand Prix. So I believe that's a start to finish, lead, and win of the Grand Prix. How did you manage to do that? And did you feel the pressure at any point with Jamham just breathing down your neck?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think since the beginning of the game, I was struggling a lot in the wet, but recently I've been having a lot of wet races and all, and I've been improving every time. Now I feel a lot more comfortable in the wet. At some tracks, not all of them, but most of them. But yeah, this track I like it in the wet. So yeah.
Yeah, another question. Not only you finished in first, which that alone is a fantastic achievement, but you finished ahead of your championship rival, that being Jamham. And we are looking here in the stream at the driver standings before going into the race. And Jamham ahead of you, you managed to beat him. And we still have plenty of rounds to go. Do you think at any point in this championship, do you feel like you have enough in you to possibly take the championship away from Jam?
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna try to at least be consistent because lately it hasn't been consistent at all. I've just been messing up my qualifyings and all. On this game generally, the last few weeks it's been really tough on me. So to have this win, it's pretty nice. So yeah.
Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Words from the race winner. So yeah, today we didn't have the intro. We didn't have a couple of things happening, but it's no problem. Next week we will be back live once again for the British Grand Prix. So that surely is going to be an interesting one. Britain. I do love Silverstone. I think it's a very good track indeed, and we should be on for a very good race. So with 21 viewers still watching the stream, I say thank you very much everyone for being here. Thank you Sam for being a part of the commentary booth. It's been a pleasure commentating with you, and we will be back, lads, next week in Summit League Racing for the British Grand Prix. Bye bye.
Bye bye.